Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 485. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
What's up, people? How's it going?
Brett Murdoch.
What up, people?
Richard Bailey Jr.
What's up, everybody?
And Brian Manjoma.
If he's apologizing, then it definitely means that he did it.
Uh-oh. I actually don't know what Brian's referring to.
Yeah,
you tell me off here.
Of him doing it. So come on, he's clearly guilty.
Oh, we're talking about Diddy? Okay.
He did.
Yeah, he did. Diddy did it. I still call that motherfucker Puff Daddy, man. I don't care. Yeah, you know,
he keeps shortening his name.
Yeah, yo, Diddy. Oh no, yeah, hey, Brian, I saw a clip. Yeah. Yes, Jesus, man.
It's not what you think, man.
Yeah, not what you think. Not what you think. You Puff Daddy, man. Anyway, so no Chris action tonight, and Carlos will be here shortly after he gets over his team losing tonight. That's the reason. Well, there he is. I guess he recovered. You know. Yo, Carlos, you doing okay, man? You good?
Yeah, fuck y'all, man.
All right, people. I guess he's still not recuperated enough.
Nah, I'm good. I'd rather talk about video games now. Fuck basketball. Yeah.
Hey,
Who cares about that shit?
Yo, Carlos, how's Adam doing though?
Man, he's probably worse than me.
That's crazy. All right, man. Let's get into it. So, quick note: I didn't have a chance to edit these questions, so if they come off weird, this is your fault. Oh man,
all your fault.
Let's start, and I'm just reading these as we got them. I don't even know if there's a theme tonight. I guess we'll discover it. Let's start off with Illustrated Dio, our boy. He asked some long fucking questions too. You know.
These questions have been brewing for a while.
Yeah. Also, since we didn't get a lot of questions, I'm gonna allow, just because the guys who did ask questions asked a lot of questions, so no need for sponsorships. But we'll see. Anyway, Dio starts us off. When are we gonna see the backward compatibility of PS2 and PS3 games on PS5, or with this handheld that Sony is supposedly working on? Demon Souls exists because of Bluepoint, so what happens to Metal Gear Solid 4, Resistance, Fall of Man, Killzone 2 and 3, the Burnout, Revenge, and Legends games? The only PS4 game I need Sony Interactive Entertainment to remaster or create a sequel to is Bloodborne and Xenogears. Why are Square-Enix so hard of hearing towards the room of what the consumer base really wants for the current PlayStation PC hardware? That's a lot in there. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's funny that you asked that question because recently Sony has made a deal with a new group to do more, well, at least for now, more PlayStation 2 ports or emulated games for the PlayStation 4 and 5. Apparently, the people that are involved were part of the PSFX or whatever it's emulation software that's currently available for PC, and apparently whatever they're doing is some sort of new thing that they're doing. So hopefully that'll save a lot of those titles, at least for the PlayStation 2 era, because as of now their initiative to put out PlayStation 2 games as part of their subscription service has been relatively lacking. So there's a partial answer. There's all kinds of different ways that they could possibly figure out, but it's weird. It's weird when it comes to these ports or recompiling or decompiling of games to get them to work on the modern consoles and platforms. So that's all up to them. Who knows? Maybe they'll say something about that on their on that PlayStation experience or whatever the hell they call it coming up this week.
And this is something we've been talking about ever since the PS4 came out. The fact that it's hard to port PS3 games because of the cell processor. that's still giving people problems all these years later. So there have been some decent attempts on PC, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of hit and miss. So I'm curious to see how or if Sony could solve that problem, because you notice that you can actually even port some PS2 games over, but PS3 games, you have to just, right now they're kind of mostly available through streaming, unless somebody actually digs in deep and, starts in from the beginning,
I mean, it really does take somebody to go get into the weeds and really figure out an effective way to do it. But it seems like that, Sony obviously doesn't want to invest in it because of the plain fact that it might take a lot of resources that they could possibly be using to make new titles. And in general, new titles, I know people feel how people feel about the previous games, but new titles get people to use new essentially play games on that specific console. Release of an old game doesn't really do that unless it's some sort of remaster.
Yeah. So it'll be, granted, all this will be moot when the remastering engine drops,
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's like, Manny, I think you kind of just said it. They have to weigh how much it's going to cost them versus how much they're going to get back in return.
But it's an interesting thing, because you see about all these different advances that are happening in the independent space. Like the FPGA initiative, where literally these guys have pretty much made new versions of the Nintendo's Sega Genesis and the Game Boy that run all the original software if you stick the cartridge into them, and then there's obviously it's a lot more complicated, but Digital Foundry did a recent video about a Zelda game, the Majora's Mask Zelda game being recompiled to work on modern PCs, so it runs natively. So again, obviously each game is a different animal, but if one guy could figure out how to get one game to work on, to work on a modern PC, you could easily get that. You could possibly, you could not easily, but somebody out there is probably trying to figure how to do that out for something else.
Yeah, but again, when it comes to PS3, they've been trying it for well over a decade now, and we're still not 100% there yet. But who knows? Like you said, it just takes one guy. One guy cracks the code, the Rosetta Stone, if you will, and then that's it. The floodgates open. But so far, we haven't had that yet. So we'll see. All right, moving on here. Are we doing predictions for Xbox and PlayStation this week? No, but I'll answer the rest of your question. If so, what are your predictions on what to look forward to or be excited about? We won't hear anything about Monster Hunter Wilds until next month, so that leaves me guessing it will most likely promote Destiny 2 last full endgame story expansion, Season 2 Street Fighter 6, and probably Ghost of Tsushima PC stuff in a follow-up development vlog on Death Stranding 2, Naughty Dog or Insomniac Games' next title, and show closer with a surprise announcement trailer, Ghost of Tsushima 2, Bloodborne Remaster, PS5, whatever, Xenogears. Yeah, this is a wish list right now, Dio, it's too early to even make predictions. And to be honest, and this is just how I feel, there's not really much to predict on either side. Like, I understand Sony's going to have a showcase, Microsoft's going to have a showcase. I legit don't know what they're going to be showing. I know Microsoft's going to be showing off Call of Duty, obviously. But what's Sony going to be showing? More Death Stranding 2? Wolverine? Yeah. I don't know. I honestly... again, we'll go over this when we're closer to the date. But the floor is open. Anybody wants to take any guesses here, but I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, I don't have an idea as to what they might go. Like, yeah, maybe they try to get you excited for the future. Who knows? I hate to use the Adam term, but they got to have something.
Gotta have something.
Otherwise, why even go through the trouble of doing a presentation? You can just throw it on your PlayStation blog and call it a day, right?
Yeah. Real quick, Carlos, I know you go next. Blitz says, I predict fanboys will lose their shit in the positive or negative. That's a given. That's a fact. That will happen. Anyway, Carlos, go ahead, man.
I feel like we have a better grasp of what Microsoft is going to do as opposed to Sony. Sony is a wild card. We have no clue what the hell they have in the freaking chamber. Microsoft, I'm pretty sure. You guys mentioned Call of Duty. It's a given. Gear 6. I feel like a lot of people have been predicting this. It's a long time coming for that game. Adam's been waiting for it for years. So I feel like maybe Gear 6 is a likely probability, and they'll probably show the games that are going to come out at the end of the year. Like what's that? Avowed. Yeah, Avowed is going to come out. And I forgot the name of the other one, but nobody cares about the other one. Yeah. Oh, and what Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, you're right. We do have a better idea of what Xbox should show. But yeah, Dio, I know you have all these predictions. That's great, but yeah, I'm with Carlos. This is a wild card. I have no fucking idea.
Especially with Sony.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead, Rich, if you want to take a stab.
I will throw in 2 additional predictions that Carlos did not mention for Xbox. I do predict that Microsoft will announce and show another controller that will be coming out sometime before the year is over. That will be talked about at the show, I'm sure. And the other one I will add is it will be announcing a few other games that might be coming to other platforms.
Oh, you know what? That's my prediction for PlayStation. Xbox games. That's what we'll see at PlayStation. We're going to see Xbox games. So there you go. Brett, you want to take a stab at predictions?
Yeah, I think they're gonna keep in with their pattern of terribly timed and named controllers with their new Xbox layoff controller. Fire all of your other controllers.
Oh man. Yeah. All right. Good stuff there. Yeah, Blitz, don't worry, bro. I got you, man. We'll answer your question from last week. It's about Xbox apps. Okay. Another one from Mr. Dio. If Xbox Series X hardware, remember this, unedited, if Xbox Series X hardware were able to bring back a new Lost Planet, new Ninja Gaiden, new Rumble Roses, new DOA, Killer Instinct, Conquer, Titanfall, damn, son, and revisit Scalebound with a new Gears title dropping this year, I'd be a proud returning consumer of the gaming hardware, I promise you. Why is Microsoft and Xbox higher-ups making it absolutely difficult to brand hardware again and all that it's built over its long history of amazing titles to some trash streaming service or application? What is their aim at this pointless gamble that doesn't seem to be working for them, causing a gaming giant such as Xbox now seemingly to be scrambling to stay afloat within the industry? It has me really worried. Again, not edited. I think he's asking, why is Xbox not bringing back old games instead of just focusing on Game Pass? Is that what he's asking?
Yeah, I mean it's the same answer as before with the Sony one. They're not bringing those things back because those things don't get people talking and to come into your into your platform. Just because you offer older games, obviously there's a fan base behind them, but unless that older game is being remastered or redone or in some specific way to kind of get, essentially get the whole the new narrative talking, the new people talking, that's it, because it's always really about the new. Whenever you do legacy stuff, legacy works the best at the beginning of a launch of your console, when there's not a lot of titles to play, and then you can go back in and still go play your original. You can go play the previous generation's legacy titles. Like if you're talking about PlayStation 4, that rollover was like the easiest. PlayStation 4 or Xbox Series S or X, that rollover between the two of them was really, really like easy, because you could play all those games. You could, even in the case of Xbox, where you can literally instantly, pull over your saves over, or the other factor is that like how well their temporal I can't remember what they called their upscaling ability on a lot of their old games, where in other words they could literally run the game at a higher resolution and a higher resolution and with a better frame rate, a more consistent frame rate. It's just amazing stuff, but it's not like an ultra thing. That's part of the reason why they're not continuing to push that. Even though Homegirl did say something about they care about their legacy and all that other stuff in her non-answer interview.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. All right, last one here from Mr. Dio. Is anybody coming back for the last Destiny 2 expansion? Nope. I've been done with that series, man.
What's a Destiny? I don't know. I mean, I played a demo.
Yeah.
About I don't know how many years ago. I ain't coming back to that.
But yeah, I know he's asking because Dio's a big fan of Destiny. He's been with it since the beginning and never stopped playing. So he's excited. But I dropped off.
I know quite a bit of people that have literally just been Destiny is their game. Like they use it they just use it as like a chat room and stuff like that. Like my buddy. My longtime working partner in comics, Kari, he loves Destiny. He's always on that, right?
I played Destiny with him a couple of times before.
Yeah, and he always used to be on there. Same thing with some of my old coworkers. They seem to just hang out. They just hang out in Destiny world. They talk on there and do whatever, shit around. And then, I'd say for a person that's just looking for just that little bit of flash of gameplay and not too much story, a lot of people seem to like that. So I think whoever I don't know. I mean, obviously I don't know what the zeitgeist of this Destiny world is like these days, because especially with the, how wavy things have been with Bungie and stuff like that. So is that enough to get people back in, for this coming up DLC? I don't know.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rich.
So 2 quick things. First and foremost, our contributor, Danny Martinez, he actually is going to be reviewing this game. He's actually been playing Destiny still to this very day. You will have to ask him personally why he is fascinated, but he did talk about it briefly in a video that he did on the channel, so check that video out. But to answer the question directly, oh yeah, that is a plug. Coalition Gaming on YouTube.
You already know.
But to answer the question directly, if you're directing it to me and you're asking, am I returning to Destiny? The answer is hell no. But when Destiny 3 comes out, I will check that out. I'm not going back to Destiny 2. This game, I feel like this game has been out maybe for 10 years or so right now. I mean, I don't know exactly when it dropped, but it's time to move on to another game. I'm tired of the same Destiny 2. Let's move on to part 3, guys.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Moving on here. Dumeke, who's joining us in the chat. This is a question actually left over from last week. We're asking it now. What are your thoughts on the recently announced Microsoft App Store coming in July that will be web-based to start with? How can this possibly succeed in the face of the established app stores, taking into account all the others that have failed along the way? Okay, so someone needs to kind of enlighten me, because Microsoft already has an app store. Like the Microsoft Store, is this something different? It's like that's where you download stuff from or get your updates from, unless it's something brand new. So unless
it's the app store as far as like going on the what is it? Stuff? Well, yeah, maybe it's the mobile stuff, or maybe it's like for Apple, because a lot of the platforms can't actually run native app stores or native software stores on Apple's on Apple devices, because they want to take a piece of any sort of software that's being sold on their platform.
Yeah, he says Sarah Bond announced it last week and it's launching in July. I missed that one.
I mean, I guess it was during that non-answer meeting that she had done. I mean, what does it mean? It doesn't mean to be like, is it if it's native or if it's online, what does it matter? You're still buying an app, right?
He says it will be home to their mobile apps like Candy Crush, etc. I'm gonna go into the Microsoft App Store right now. Isn't Candy Crush already available on that shit?
Or are they locking apps to that app store? Like I don't get.
I could download. I'm on the Microsoft Store right now. I could download Candy Crush. So how is this thing coming in July?
Unless it's like a new version of that online app store, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but I don't understand the difference.
Yeah, I feel like I'm missing something too because again, I'm on the Microsoft App Store right now. I could download Candy Crush right now. So I don't know what the hell Sarah Bond's talking about. And I'm looking at the news, and I don't see anything either. Obviously, I'm not saying you're wrong. I think I'm just probably searching the wrong term. But yeah, again, my answer would be, and it's probably misinformed answer. What is different about this upcoming app than the existing Microsoft app? The store app. What's the difference? Because I'm like, I just went there right now. I could download shit right now. So I don't know. I'm not sure. Go ahead, Rich.
I have an answer to your question, Tony.
Yeah.
You want to know what's different about this store?
What?
Wait until the Xbox showcase and you'll get your answers.
Here it is. Got an answer. It's a mobile game store. See that there's the hook. So let me read this. This is off of GeekWire.com. In a surprise reveal, Microsoft said Thursday it plans to launch a mobile gaming store later this year. The news came out during an on-stage interview with Xbox President Sarah Bond at a Bloomberg event. According to Bond, the as-yet unnamed store will launch in July on web browsers rather than on a designated app. With Microsoft's recently acquired Candy Crush Saga serving as a day one tentpole franchise, even though you could download it on the existing app. Anyway, Microsoft's entry into the mobile gaming market, the most lucrative arm of the game industry, has been anticipated, particularly since the company's recent $69 billion acquisition of California-based mega developer Activision Blizzard King. Okay, so it's a game app. But again, I think my question is still pertinent. How is it any different than existing shit? It's just going to be just game focused. Like, obviously I'm going to have like regular apps like GIMP or whatever on there. But
I can see, I understand why it's I think
but it's just a gaming app, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm wondering if this same thing is also available on the Apple services too.
Well, apparently this is a challenge to Apple and Google. Apple has the Apple App Store, then Google has the Google Play Store. So this is going to be, even though they already have an answer to that with the Microsoft Store. It already exists. It's just this one's gaming focus, it seems.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah,
if you have like an online store, like what are you selling? Like how? Like in other words, you can't sell an application separately for a mobile device on a that's meant for a specific mobile device on a separate store.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So to answer the question, because he asked how can it succeed in the face of all the other established app stores? Well, it has succeeded. It's been around for years, technically, but it's an offshoot of the existing one. This is very confusing to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest,
I don't understand the point of it.
That sounds like the usual Microsoft forte when they make a bunch of redundant garbage. That they essentially just pivot on. So kind of like their original Microsoft Game Store, their Microsoft Game Store. Remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that. It's like, why this already exists.
You already have a division. Just combine the damn thing into one. So okay. So what? The thing about this is like, what's the use of an online game store? What does this mean? Like, are you running their games online? Through some sort of net connection. Yeah. Because usually if you're buying a game for a platform, you're buying it on that platform store. If you're buying the what do they call that? The what's that thing? Unless it's somewhat like their some of their other software. In other words, it only runs like there's this one game I forgot. It's like Bejeweled on the Xbox application. It's a game that's locked to that application, and you can play it on Windows, right? What if they made an application that if you buy something separately on another application, and it just adds an update to that application on your actual phone? Yeah,
that's what it seems like. At least what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's what it's sounding like. They're doing some sort of sneaky shit like that. Where in other words, they have their game application, right? That they make games for, and then everything is in that. But you don't buy stuff directly from like Google Store or on Apple Store. You buy it online on their dealie, and then it updates that application on their end.
Yeah,
on thing. But again, that's just me making up shit up. Maybe it doesn't work this way.
Yeah. Blitz says how many of the mobile gaming community will bother to go to a website over just going to the built-in app? It's a good question.
I mean, the thing about it is like a lot of the, like I was saying with Sony and also with the Microsoft app, you can go to their online stores with the application and buy games on it.
But apparently this is browser based, right? To make it browser based for now, right?
Same thing with the other ones. They're browser based too, right? But they're running inside. In other words, it's a internal web browser that's inside of there that sends you to their website and allows you to make purchases instead of having to buy it directly through the store. So is this crazy ass thing like some sort of application that they're making for all of the other platforms, right? That essentially is like a loophole around them making a loophole around them using any two of these places stores.
I couldn't.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting. Some shady shit though.
So what's going to happen to the Xbox store then?
Well, I don't think this is connected to it. This is just the mobile gaming. This is just the mobile gaming store.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I legit don't know enough information about this to give a
I mean, again, what I'm saying is just a bunch of goofy speculation about it. So I mean, we don't know what the full story is on this thing.
Yeah, it's separate to Xbox. Okay, so that's good to know.
Yeah,
But again, like I said, I could go to right now. I literally am logged in right now. Microsoft Game Store or store. Period. I could download Candy Crush right now. Right now, what is the point of this thing? You know,
I mean, maybe to make it kind of stupid proof. In other words, it's like, you go to the apps, you go to the Microsoft Game Store, right? And you have to, scroll. You have to go through a bunch of different stuff. So now, if you go to the App Store, now all it does is have application games, right? Like
maybe
I don't know.
I was going to say something, but maybe you know what? Never mind.
It may pay out differently.
Maybe
that's what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking. I'm thinking that why it's called Microsoft App with giant big quotes is that it's specifically a Microsoft application that sits on your whatever mobile device that you have, and the way you buy games for it is through their website as opposed to using using Apple or Google's the Google Play Store. In other words,
you know what? Yeah, because being a web-based app, it circumvents the 30%.
Exactly. Being that they're playing. In other words, you're paying for it on their service. So in other words, maybe their app, whatever it does, is you click into it, it sends you to their website, you buy whatever the hell you want on there, and then it updates the app in your thing.
Yeah. Real quick, C Fresh 2180 on YouTube. Shout out to you. He goes, what you just said, to bypass Apple's 30% cut. Yeah, okay, now this app is making more sense to me.
So look at it less like an app and more like a platform.
Yes,
like,
yes.
Instead of releasing their games on somebody else's platform.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
that's
100%
what
right.
I'm saying exactly. So in other words, Candy Crush and all those things that you get on that whatever thing, it all lives in this one specific
And
platform.
that's why it's
app
browser
that's on
based.
there.
Yeah, that's why it's browser based.
That's why at least the store is
The
browser
store,
based.
yes. Now it all makes sense to me. Okay. Yeah, and so now we have better footing to answer your question. I don't know how it's going to survive. I don't know. That's a good question because now it will have to compete against the Apple Store and Google Play, right? Directly, not just two people locked into Microsoft's ecosystem.
I mean, would you go to a different place to get it 20% cheaper?
Well, remember, the end user experience doesn't matter. Remember,
no. I mean, like,
it's
okay,
them.
so-
It's them. Microsoft is the one making money. I'm still paying the same price regardless, right?
Not necessarily.
What do
Okay,
you
so
mean?
like a lot of the way that a lot of people in tech kind of view a business strategy, and I don't know how I feel about this, is the whole disruptor method, where they move into a market that has already established itself, and then they try and fuck up that market as much as possible in order to literally just destabilize the entire market by undercutting their competitors, usually at not much profit to them. Once they've done that and kind of wrecked their competitors and run them out of business, then they can stabilize their own profits and raise their prices. Things like Uber and DoorDash and things like that. Like, that's how a lot of these things do it. So I wouldn't be entirely surprised if Microsoft still being a tech company, if some fucking executive was like, well, what if we bring the disruptor model to this kind of thing? And what if we bring it out and instead of paying Apple 30%, we just offer it for 10 to 15% cheaper on our platform, therefore driving people away because we can offer it cheaper on our platform than they can on theirs. And so that we drive people away from theirs until they're used to our site. And then we can offer, say, like developers, 20% or 20 or 15%. We will put your game on an app store for less than a 30% cut. So why don't you putting it out with us instead of with them? And they could kind of use that in an effort to try and corner mobile gaming, which is a very profitable sector of the gaming market. And it seems honestly like an idea that could in theory work, but I don't know, man. It's a big battle for King of Shit Mountain, but I mean, I guess money's money, and people like money, so that's just my lack of interest.
Brett, can you give me a recent example where that happened, where like a company goes, "Hey, buy it from our store and it's cheaper"? You know what I'm saying? Because I understand what you're saying in theory, but I want to know, how has this happened before within recent memory? Because if there is, please, enlighten me.
I mean, I not a great 1-to-1, but that's kind of what's happening with Game Pass, in that you're getting to try it for free and then buy it at a discount. The end amount that costs the user money is significantly less, which is what has gravitated a lot of people, myself included, over to the platform.
Yeah.
So again, it's not a 1-to-1, but I'm really not familiar with the mobile space. The thing about retail gaming is because it was built around big box stores, there's often a lot of times a lot of price parity, which I don't know if that's the case in the mobile gaming side. I'm pretty sure things cost more on Apple's store than they do on other stores already. So I think there's a precedent for apps acting like that, even though there isn't a precedent for console or PC gaming to do that.
All right. By the way, because I've been on the Microsoft store here the entire time, they're advertising a bunch of games. I could get Senua's Sacrifice, pre-order it, not right now. So again, that's what I'm like, the hell. I mean, actually, no, I already answered the question. It's because they could circumvent the other companies and stuff. But you can buy these games right now on Microsoft's existing app store. All right, man.
Let me see something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Yeah.
Before just don't move on. I'm trying to check. I swear to God, there's other apps that are more expensive in the Apple Store. Give me a minute to look them up, okay?
Yeah, because I was about to do that myself. I was going to go like look at the same app on Google Play, Microsoft, and Apple, and see which one is more expensive. Because I could be wrong. I just assumed it was all the same price. You know?
Well, no. Subscriptions are more expensive on Apple. I knew that.
I'm talking about the individual
apps. Yeah.
Yeah. Google Play. Google Play. So bear with us, guys. We got to verify this shit. What would be a good app that's across everything? That's like paid. Because Candy Crush is free, right?
I can check.
Yeah, shows how much we know about mobile gaming. You know.
Well, in mobile gaming, a lot of it's microtransactions too.
Mm-hmm,
So, like, I wonder if, like, say, like, what was it? What's the like a Raid Shadow? I think it's all over every. I don't even play mobile gaming. I know that's a thing. I wonder if
it's free. Okay, so let's find a paid game. Yeah. What's up, Kid Shack? He goes, Twitch app, question mark? I don't understand the question. What's up, Brett?
Yeah, you pay more for YouTube Premium through the Apple Store than you do Google Play.
Oh, yeah. It makes sense, right? Because Google would offer it for cheaper because it's their shit, you know?
Mm-hmm. Let's an
look
example.
Up Call of Duty. Carlos, when I go to Call of Duty Warzone, for example, it says install. Mm-hmm. Is that free too?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, if it's just like, oh, install it or get it.
Super Mario Run, they took that shit off, didn't we?
Uh-oh. I'm pretty sure it's still there.
Let's check. I'm on the Google Play Store. And again, it says install. I guess it's free.
Yeah.
Are any mobile games not free? What the fuck?
Most are free. That's why I was saying, look at the prices of microtransactions across both. Like,
yeah, I think that's a better parameter because I'm like, all these fucking games are free. But again, it shows you how much we know about mobile gaming here. Anyway, I'm getting bored with this question, so let's move on. Sorry, Blitz.
Okay, here we go.
Okay,
Reddit
go ahead.
Premium on Android is $30 a year. Reddit Premium on iPhone is $60 a year.
Wait, say that again?
Reddit Premium on Android, £30 for a year. And Reddit Premium on iPhone is £60 for the year. So
holy shit! That's crazy. No, that's
so apparently this is a standard thing. So it might be that might actually work.
Yeah, I mean, but by that measure, Microsoft could sell their own stuff cheaper. You know,
well, not just their own stuff, other people's stuff.
Other people, yeah, you're right. And like you said, incentivize developers. Like, yo, you don't have to pay us as much. You know, get your shit over here. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Very interesting. Bliss, I hope that answered your question. I think we actually did okay with that at the end, even though we didn't know what the fuck we were talking about in the beginning, you know. We keep it real on Throwdown, man. You know, some of these other podcasters, they just talk shit, try to seem like they know. If we don't know shit, we'll just say we don't fucking know. You know, be men about it. All right, moving on. Who is this guy, man? Drunken Demon. I don't know who this guy is, but I suspect he has a very cool accent. You know, and I'm also secure I don't have to worry about his questions being all fucked up. I don't have to edit this shit. All right. With excitement for Assassin's Creed being at an all-time low among the panel, what would an Assassin's Creed game need to have to get them excited? Fuck, that's a good question. Not be fucking 50 million hours long. Basically, you want to get me excited? Do what you did with Assassin's Creed Mirage. That got me excited because it was an old school Assassin's Creed like journey, right? You know, big game, you know, still good 20, 30 hours, big map too, but not a fucking continent, you know? So yeah, you want to get me excited for Assassin's Creed? Literally shave 100 hours off the fucking play experience because I'll still be left with 30 hours, you know? You know shit is bad. Brett, remember before Valhalla, I said these games were getting too long, and you're like, Tony, more of a game is a good thing. And then you came back with Valhalla like, Tony, you were right, this is too much. Even it got to you, bro.
There's a fucking line, man.
You know? So yeah, that's my answer. And also while I'm there, Can you please? Okay, I understand that Assassin's Creed was never about historical accuracy, but can you at least attempt to do it like you used to try to do it before? Now you don't give a fuck anymore. Now it's just, okay, we're just going crazy. At least try like you used to. You know,
at one point it was pretty good about historical accuracy.
It was. You know, it was better about it. Like, and even within the game itself, you would find monuments, you click on them, and they would tell you shit. They don't even have that anymore. You know, I'm like, come on, man. Like, you could tell they really cared about history before. You know, and Brett, yeah, you're right. To your point, okay, the undercurrent shit that was happening in the game obviously was all made up, but like the surface level stuff, the world you were inhabiting was authentic. You know?
Yeah, and like a lot of the architecture they even tried to faithfully recreate. What they could. Like it was even used by, I want to say, like they teamed up with like historic preservation societies to like use the Ubisoft pool the resources from Ubisoft and these other people to like digitally map like certain cathedrals and things like that. In fact, I want to say that there's been a couple of them that have been either damaged or had fires or whatnot, that they use those digital maps to help restoration efforts.
I forget which one it was. I think it was a fire. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I believe there was a fire in France, right, that destroyed a really famous cathedral, and they used the mapping data that Assassin's Creed used in Unity, I believe, to, I don't know if they recreated the thing, but it's like, that's how historically accurate these games were, where real people could use the old, these models to recreate shit, and now that's just lost. Like, I knew something was up when I was playing fucking Odyssey, and there were these giant Colossus statues just everywhere. I'm like, that shit didn't exist. We would still have these things, So, like, you could tell, like, they just went crazy after that. And the new Assassin's Creed game, they said, fuck historical accuracy. We're going to do what we want,
Who likes magical Vikings?
Yeah, let's go. So, return to the old, basically the Ezio trilogy. Give me more of that shit, and I'll be a happy camper. Brett, I think your answer might be the same as mine in this regard, right? With Assassin's Creed?
I don't know, bro. I don't know if there is an Assassin's Creed for me.
Oh, no. Damn. Elaborate, sir.
I just, man, like, it's, what even is there in there anymore? Like, what is Ghost not do better?
Yeah, Brett, I agree. I agree with you. Here's the thing: Assassin's Creed. The reason why it popped off is because of the free run mechanic.
Yeah, no
one else did it like Assassin's Creed. That was the thing that put it over the top. And let's be real. The game did not have the great combat. The game never had great story. It had decent story during the Ezio trilogy, but what's his name? The real life dude in the beginning of the movie.
Oh, Desmond,
Desmond, like that. That was interesting, but this wasn't like God of War, like Last of Us type story.
No.
It was just a game that felt good to play because, damn, I'm climbing up these towers mad quick, jumping down to haystacks, and it's all fun. But it wore off its that just wore off pretty quickly. Yeah.
And I want to add this real quick. They also dumbed down the mechanics, Carlos, because I remember those early games. You could fuck up and die, Now they're like foolproof. You're not gonna fall no matter how hard you try. I remember those scenes, man, because in the Ezio trilogy specifically, they had specific like levels where you had to do a bunch of platforming, and your ass cheeks would be clenching, boy, when you make those jumps. Like, oh fuck, am I gonna make it? That's been lost. You're gonna make that fucking jump every single time.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. Yeah. That shit was dope. But no, I enjoyed the story because I'm a history guy, so I like all that shit. Like I still remember in Assassin's Creed 2, like it's 1492, but it was before Columbus hit America, right? And they found one of the apples of Eden. They bring up the hologram, and the world's spinning. Like, hey, look, it's the Earth, and it spins. What the fuck is that? Where's all that land? Like that's cool. I like that shit. And that sense of wonder has just been lost.
I take that back. There's one thing they could do. They could just make Black Flag 2.
That game was dope. You know,
It's
Make it again.
yeah, make it.
and just be content making it a AAA instead of a quadruple A game. This time.
You know, Ubisoft. I mean, they did. I know they made Rogue, but nobody played that game because it was on PS3 when the PS4 was out. It's like everybody missed that. You know.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I appreciated that they did do that though, where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, if you didn't get the new PlayStation, we got you. We got a pirate ship game for you to play with.
Yeah, but then nobody bought it. Yeah. All right. Anything else you guys want to see in Assassin's? Well, okay. What would bring you back to Assassin's Creed?
It's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Rich.
Wait, hold on. What's hard, Carlos?
It's really hard to get me back to Assassin's Creed.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
just
Okay.
Yeah.
There's just really not that much to entice me to that.
Well, two things I would like to see: more of the assassinations in multiple ways to assassinate the targets.
Yes.
That's one thing I actually like about the Hitman games, that there are multiple ways to kill the enemy. So that would get me interested again. And of course, the last thing, which will never happen, I want them to go back to the original story of what happens in the future regarding the Templars, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But that will never happen because now it's just, let's pick a different location, different time period, and say, oh yeah, this person is a part of the order. So probably not going to see that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think Assassin's Creed is just far beyond saving at this point.
For me on the Assassin, I still want to see what the gameplay is for it. I'm at least interested in that aspect of it. But I mean, I don't know. It just, to be honest, it just feels like usual Assassin's Creed art and design and all kinds of stuff just applied to Japan stuff, and it's the modern Assassin's Creed stuff, and it's not really any of the stuff that they had previously done. So it remains to be seen on it. Obviously, I know. The whole, obviously they're kind of playing fast and loose with history now. And, that's a little disappointing, but we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously they're not bringing back Desmond, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, it's over. All right, man. Moving on here. Another one from Mr. Drunken Demon. What are your thoughts on Square Enix moving away from platform exclusive deals and games? They want to make money, man. They want to make money, so it makes sense.
They want to make that money, man.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
To be they should really, to me like, obviously, but I'm saying one thing also I also have to say is that Square Enix's content is not strong enough right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it beforehand, if they having those platform exclusives originally was a really good thing for them because everybody would flock to them. But what's going on now that people are not interested? Well, I mean, first you make granted, it's great that they went back to sort of a classic Final Fantasy and not what people think is classic Final Fantasy, where it's like, oh, a cyberpunk world, but really going back to an actual fantasy setting, which I feel like, because of the previous way Final Fantasy, for so long they've sort of stayed in that cyberpunk aesthetic.
Yeah.
That I feel like once they start to move away from that sort of cyberpunk aesthetic, I feel like that might affect the actual sales of the game. And then number two, Final Fantasy. We said this before, years and years ago, when they announced that the Final Fantasy games the Final Fantasy VII games were going to be separated into parts, and people really lost their mind about that. I'm going to say this: every single time that they release a new Final Fantasy VII, and thankfully there's only supposedly be one more left.
Yeah,
the returns are going to diminish even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't think that I mean this is just I could be wrong, but I don't think Final Fantasy 7-3 is going to do as that well either. Just for the plain fact that it didn't all get released at one point, at one time.
Or do you think it's possible it might do better because it is the last one?
I mean, that could be that could also be a possibility, but I don't think it's going to. I think it's just going to be that it's going to it's going to have close to around the same numbers as the previous one.
Yeah, because you know how it is, like the first and the last thing of something always sell well. It's the middle one. I think the second one was never going to sell as well, because it's just the middle.
Because they know it, because that there's no conclusion to it. Right?
Yeah.
It just leaves the thing open. The first one, in fact, the only reason why people didn't know, they said it, but they didn't fully say it, but there was no, it leaves it open at the end of that one too. So there's no, it's a weird one. So, I mean, I think in general,
at least with 3, it has the advantage of people being able to play 1 and 2 before it. So it has that advantage. Yeah. And I think again, we'll see what happens. Obviously you and I don't know, but I think it at least has a better chance than 2 because it's the middle, at least the third one has that push of this is the last one,
Also, you want to talk about watering down your brand. Final Fantasy games were once in a while. They didn't come out multiple times per year, right? You literally, in the same year, and even in the same fiscal year, you literally had 2 Final Fantasy games releasing back to back.
Yeah, you did. Final Fantasy 16 and 7, Rebirth. Yeah. So I was like, I understand only one of them is a mainline game, but those are not the only Final Fantasy games that come out now. You get at least one Final Fantasy game of some sort every year, and it dilutes the excitement,
Yeah, you lose you dilute the importance of the Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Whenever they would come out,
fantasy ain't final.
There is a finality to that Final Fantasy, and I feel like in general there's not enough room in the market for multiple Final Fantasies. I feel like if you devote 1 year to that one version, and then the next year you devote it to the next one.
Yeah.
Or a little bit more time.
It's crazy. All right, man. Moving on here. The Red Death, aka J Shep. My man asked 5 questions, but we're gonna go with it.
Whoa!
Yeah. Again, we didn't get 2. We only got 2 more sets of questions after this. It has been reported that Activision, I don't know why you put that in quotes, Activision recently opened. I know why, because Microsoft, has recently reported that Activision recently opened a new studio called Elsewhere for narrative-based games. This happened very shortly after closing down 4 Bethesda studios. My question is, why did Xbox shutter those studios only to open a new one? And why was the studio open under Activision and not Xbox Studios? Those are some excellent questions. I don't know.
Why was it done through Activision and not Xbox Studios? Maybe to take advantage of whatever. Because I think in general, a lot of companies, a lot of those studios probably can also open studios within themselves, right? So my guess is that they want to leverage some of their narrative-driven titles. There's some of their narrative-driven previous titles to try to develop new games. So maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also probably allocated resources. They had them allocated for Activision and not some other division, because usually these types of companies, when they have so many different divisions, they can almost work autonomously between each other. So Activision is not really taking into account anything that let's say Rare is doing, other than maybe release dates and stuff like that.
Blitz goes, doesn't Activision sit outside of Xbox? It's under Microsoft Gaming. Is Microsoft Gaming an actual name of the division? Wasn't that a mockery name that the guys were using before? Or some those Xbox guys? Xbox guys? Was that the mocking term they used?
It's pretty much the same thing. I mean, Phil is at the head of that. So he's Xbox, and he's also Microsoft Gaming CEO. So, but I think maybe the question is more Xbox Game Studios, the 343s and coalitions with the C's.
But I think you're right. It's they could function autonomously, so they don't need it doesn't all need to be under Xbox Studios.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting. It's like you close down 4 studios and then you open up a new one.
Yeah.
And they couldn't have funneled some of those people in there, you know?
Yeah. It seems like this was just a Bethesda's ZeniMax type of thing, and Activision, because Activision already had a lot of layoffs prior to this. So maybe it's just like, oh, we have all these resources in terms of people, in terms of money. Let's make a studio or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting stuff. Anybody else have any answers to this? Because I don't know. It's interesting. All right, moving on. Ghost of Tsushima is currently the #1 selling single-player game on Steam with a very positive review score, despite being blocked in certain regions and Sony coming off the Helldivers 2 debacle. Are you guys surprised? No, people have been wanting this shit on PC for a while.
No, yeah. Here's the thing: being that it's blocked in other, I'm going to say this: those Steam reviews don't mean shit. I'm sorry, they don't mean a damn thing. They can easily be swayed in either direction, right? What matters is how much this thing is selling. So obviously, people are happy with the port, so they're going to give it good ratings, and they're not going to give a shit about it not being in other countries.
Yeah, that's true. But no, I'm not surprised. Can't say I'm surprised at all. People they've been asking for shit on PC for a minute.
All Sony needs to, what PlayStation needs to make sure that they do is they do these things the right way. In fact, they invested in that one studio. I can't remember the name of those guys to just do this thing, to essentially pretty much make pretty ports of their PlayStation games.
Mm-hmm. Brian, did you play Ghost of Tsushima? I'm curious if this is something that you're interested in.
I did not play Ghost of Tsushima. And after the whole debacle about the PSN requirement thing, I just said, you know what, this is just weird. And I'm not a fan.
Uh-oh. So no Ghost
right
of
now
Tsushima
it's connected to the online mode for that one though. But
but then it's still the idea that it's not available in countries still because it's tied to the online mode. So even though it's an offline game and the account is only required for the multiplayer, it's still not being sold in countries where PSN is not available, which is even weirder to me. It's like it's a single player game. Like, why? It's a weird decision. So in essence, they kind of, like, Sony weirdly justified piracy on themselves. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to support that. Like, I vote with my wallet.
As you should.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, moving on here. Another one from Mr. Red Death. Insiders, I like how he put that in quotations. Insiders are at it again, claiming the new Call of Duty could come to Xbox Game Pass this year. If that happens, what changes would you expect to come to Game Pass, if any at all? Isn't it already official that Yeah, it's official now. That's not insiders. Yeah.
I would like to correct that question right off the bat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because Wall Street Journal reported on this, Tom Warren reported on this, and Sarah Bond said in her interview, yeah, we're still bringing all of our games day and date to Game Pass. So I think you can pretty much conclude that is going to come to Game Pass. Yeah. But, we'll see when they officially make it known at the showcase in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but the rest of his question is still relevant, though. Like, what changes, if any, can we expect to happen to Game Pass?
Well, for starters, I would say a price increase needs to happen with Game Pass.
Oh, man.
We already know that they're going to lose money when they bring this to Game Pass. If it's only coming to Game Pass and for some reason it doesn't come to other platforms, which I don't think, I still think this game is coming to PlayStation and PC at the same time.
Yeah.
But I would say it's probably going to be, obviously, Game Pass is probably they're going to make some changes to Game Pass, but I definitely expect it to cost more money. once this game drops on the actual platform.
But doesn't that set a weird precedent? Because no other game release has made Game Pass cost more, or does Call of Duty just get preferential treatment?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, well, I think the way they're going to roll this out is they're going to say, "Oh, we're going to be making changes to our current Game Pass offering." Maybe they'll offer another tier, and then they will announce a different tier where this particular service will cost a lot more. I'm not sure how they're going to roll it out. All I know is, if you got to think about it this way, Call of Duty is a very popular title. I highly doubt they're going to have Game Pass subscriptions be the exact same price once this comes out, if they know they can have a way to make more money off of people using the service. And the increase may not be that much. It may be an additional $5. I mean, I have no idea. Because again, when I was paying for Game Pass, you pay for the entire year or you can do a couple of months. But my guess is that they definitely are going to raise the price of this because they know how popular Call of Duty is. They will be leaving a lot of money on the table if people aren't picking up these, playing the game, period. That's my guess though. And I'm not a Microsoft employee, so I have no idea what they're going to do.
Yeah. I'm actually going to pull up one of my tweets. I tweeted this on Friday, I believe, and I upset a lot of people just by asking questions. But this is Twitter we're talking about. Okay, so yeah, this is me quote tweeting Tom Warren. So I'll read what he says and then I'll follow my questions. Microsoft will reportedly add the new Call of Duty net game to Xbox Game Pass. I understand Activision is targeting a late October release for the new Call of Duty, right? So this is what I asked. And again, these questions upset a lot of people for whatever reason. One, how will this impact Call of Duty's sales? Two, will we see an upsurge of Xbox Game Pass subscriptions? And three, the question I'm most interested in, and this is the part that really pissed people off for whatever reason. How will PlayStation players feel about paying $70 for a game Xbox users effectively get for free? Right? That was the part people didn't like. Oh, it ain't free. I gotta pay the. I'm like, did you not see the effectively part in there? You fucking dumbass. Read.
Yeah. It's an interesting one.
Xbox Game Pass isn't free. I didn't say Xbox Game Pass was free. I'm saying the game is effectively free since you're paying for Game Pass. I never said Game Pass is free. But again, listen, and this is a fact. American reading comprehension is at a 5th grade level, so I'm not surprised by any of this shit. I'm not making this up. That's an actual fact. Very upsetting, because when Manny and I were growing up, it was at a high school level. Now it's fucking 5th graders. Anyway, that's the third question is the one I'm most interested in. How will, because PlayStation guys, they ain't getting this shit, quote unquote, for free. They're either gonna have to do one or two things, right? Pay the $70 or get an Xbox and pay for Game Pass, Well,
I mean,
and obviously they can't buy the game, for $70 on Xbox too if they want. Just had to throw out because I know motherfucker, Tony,
But I mean, how will they feel? I mean, to be honest, it doesn't seem to affect anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like any of the has anybody like any of the games that have become Game Pass exclusives, right? Not Game Pass exclusives, but also day and dated on Game Pass. Has that ever affected any of those game sales?
I'm not sure.
Not really. I don't think so. Because of the plain fact, I think the biggest thing that Sony has a fear of is and that's what they came up, what happened with that one the situation with the whole FGC stuff, right? Is because the one thing they don't want is they don't want the Xbox to be seen as the Call of Duty console, as they are somewhat assumed to be, right? And I think that's the thing that they're really worried about. But I also think that at the same time, I think that whoever's playing Call of Duty on the PlayStation will just buy the game and not even question any of it.
Yeah, that's also true because it is good to keep in mind. I'm talking to myself too here. Most Call of Duty fans are normies. They don't pay attention to this shit. It's just whatever console they own, they buy it for that system, and that's it. They don't care, you know?
Yeah, that's it. So I don't think this will really affect it. But yeah,
I feel like it's a win-win. To be real honest.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Explain.
I mean, they're definitely, you know, it's a win because they're still making, you know, legitimate sales money, right, off of the other guys, and then obviously whoever's on the install base of your Xbox, you know, gets to play themselves a Call of Duty for essentially what is it, $16 a month?
Yeah, Brett, go ahead, man. You said win-win.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a win on several angles. I mean, okay, so first of all, I think fundamentally, is this going to change the purchasing habits of a lot of the customer base? No, I don't. But I do think that it's going to cast Microsoft in the right light with people asking those questions, right? Like it's got people asking the question of like, well, why would I not just play on Xbox? But like, here's the thing. If you are on Game Pass for a game like an evergreen title, and not much else, you're ultimately going to pay way more for that game in the long run. It's kind of the conundrum of, you know, renting a game, right? Because I ran into this when I was in like second grade, man. Like I go and I'd rent a Final Fantasy game, and I'd go home, play it, wouldn't be able to finish it. By like the third time I'd rent like Final Fantasy VI, I was like, you know, it might honestly be better if I just bought this game. But at that point, I had already had the sunk cost fallacy, and you know, I already dropped like $15 just renting it. May as well drop another, you know, $5 renting it again. So I ended up paying way more, especially when I eventually bought it, than I would otherwise. Now, the difference here is that it's all going to Microsoft instead of part to Nintendo and part to Blockbuster. So I think that most people will just buy it the same way that they always have, with the added benefit of really good optics, making it seem like Microsoft is giving you the better deal. But to even those that don't buy it, that's still just ultimately more money in the pocket of Microsoft in the long run, especially if they're there just for Call of Duty. If they're not there just for Call of Duty, then it's also kind of locking them into an ecosystem where, okay, so they may be there for Call of Duty, but all the other games, they're on Game Pass. So you're going to stay, you know, subscribed to same Game Pass. Like it doesn't really have a downside. I think, like I said, ultimately it's not going to change a lot of the landscape, but it's going to change the optics.
Yeah. This is an interesting follow-up question here from Jay Shep. How could putting Call of Duty in Game Pass affect the quality of the game? I don't see why it would affect the quality of the game.
Yeah, I don't think it will affect the quality of the game.
Yeah, I don't.
It's hard for this type of game, especially since it's the same reconfigured game every year.
Yeah,
with just a couple of changes. So they got a factory.
Yeah,
if any game has a factory, it's fucking Call of Duty.
It is, right? Yeah, you pretty much get the same game every year. All right. What's the other question? Yeah, with Call of Duty sales, we know what Call of Duty sales are, right? So we can compare them, any year to whatever the sales will be this year. I'm very curious to see if being on Game Pass will affect actual sales. That will be interesting to see.
It may affect sales on Xbox.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think on PlayStation it probably may not. You know what I'm saying?
I think whoever is on PlayStation is going to buy it.
Yeah.
Whatever they're going to do. You know.
And then will we see an upsurge in Game Pass subscriptions? Maybe. You know.
I mean, it is definitely a zeitgeist sort of game. And it definitely is something that would attract people to do it. Like, hey, I can pretty much pay this amount of money and I have this game for pretty much infinite, time.
This is actually a good sign for Microsoft, because after Call of Duty releases, after that window, they'll know for sure if buying Call of Duty effectively was good or not for Game Pass. Because there's really no other game other than maybe Grand Theft Auto that can drive subscriptions. And it's a consistent franchise that releases almost every year. This is it. Like to quote the great philosopher Adam Vale. This is it. Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
J-Ship says they won't release sales anymore because they're acquired by Microsoft. Yeah, but PlayStation can still give you the sales numbers. Steam can still give you the sales numbers. So we could suss out how much the game sold. Maybe we won't know how many copies sold on Xbox. I'll give you that. But we will know how many copies are sold on other platforms. So we could kind of figure it out, COD will definitely increase engagement. It could. Engagement, yes. Yeah, for sure.
Aaron Greenberg's got that tweet on draft.
Yeah, you already know. More people on Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass than ever. Because they're playing Call of Duty, man. You already know. You already know.
It'll definitely increase engagement, but the biggest thing, again, subscriptions. How many subscriptions are they pulling in? That's the real key number.
We won't know. Microsoft is just they've increased it, so we're gonna have increase, and they won't tell you by how much.
All engagement tells you is what to invest into. That's all it'll tell you. Okay, we need to make more sequels of this. That's all it does.
I still don't understand why y'all so caught up on fucking numbers.
Because money doesn't come from nowhere, Brett.
No, I
get a war chest.
Yeah, y'all count a collector's edition $100 copy and a $10 copy sold at a bargain bin at Walmart as the same fucking number, though.
But I'm not. I'm asking about. Brett. I'm asking for. No, wait, no, because you're gonna go off on this whole thing and you're misconstruing what I said. I'm talking about numbers. Like how many numbers did the game sell? 70 million versus whatever million. I because you're right. You can't count how much money it made because it's arbitrary. Yeah, you got the collection edition, you got the third market sale. I get that. I'm asking about a number of units sold. That's what I'm coming at it from. Understand?
Yeah, well, that's why I was like, that's what I don't know. Like, I'd be more interested in talking profit numbers. Like, I don't think those would be any easier to get. But like, man, like if something throws on Humble Bundle and sells 100,000 or a million, I'm like, I don't give a shit if half those cost 2 cents. But then engagement numbers don't kind of like, I don't know, man. I'd like a world where we just looked at how much money a game made. But that's just me.
I mean, that'd be nice. Don't get me wrong. I'm with you on that one. That'd be nice too.
Yeah.
But they don't really like to divulge that. So we just have unit sales.
They don't like to divulge number. They don't like to divulge how much sales money something makes, especially sales numbers. Especially if there is no sales numbers, or very little sales numbers. They're only going to release the information that makes them look good. Hey, look, you 10,000 people played Halo and ran across the fucking map like 10 times. Oh, great, that's a positive number.
15 million bullets were shot today. It's like, okay.
20,000 tires were shot out.
Yeah. Not in Halo. Remember that controversy. Go ahead, Carlos.
Speaking of sales, we always talked about Horizon Forbidden West since they were pretty mum about sales for the longest time. I just found out that game sold over 8.4 million copies.
Forbidden West, goddamn. They didn't mention that shit? Excuse me? Wait, where you get those numbers from?
So this is PlayStation Lifestyle.
Okay. Because you said, where did they get it from?
Matt Piscatella.
Okay.
A tweet.
You didn't say VG charts, so we're good. Because I'm like, don't say VG charts, motherfucker. So okay, Matt Piscatella, he does his thing. That's it. Okay, that's wild. The game sold 8 million copies, and Sony didn't boast about that. Very interesting.
Well, here's the thing. When did it when
did it hit 8 million? Yeah, that's right.
When did it hit million? Did it just hit 8 million? 8 million copies?
This article's from last month. So
but think about it. Because Sony the combination Sony loves is X amount of numbers sold at X amount of time, right? So exactly. So when it hit 5 million, that could have been like fucking a year after the fact, right? That's not going to look as good. Yeah, that's not going to look as good.
Iron is not as hot. Iron is definitely not that hot.
That ain't going to look as good as, oh shit, it sold 5 million in 3 weeks. It's not going to look as good as that. you know. But my thing is, what's wrong with a slow burn, you know?
Half of those are bargain bin discounts.
Yeah. Because I mean, this is obviously probably not related to this, but I was talking to our homeboy Gary Swaby, right? We're talking about like if we release our books, I'd rather have a slow burn book that sells for the rest of my life than a big bestseller that everybody forgets about the following week, you know? But obviously for video games, it could be a different story, you know? Actually, it is a different story when you change platforms and shit. You know,
it's a very similar situation with Days Gone, right? Days Gone didn't do amazing numbers until later in the fact, but you notice that Sony didn't mention any of those numbers later on.
And it sold a lot more than fucking Horizon Forbidden West, and that's not getting a sequel. Isn't that interesting? You know,
it's not getting a sequel because it's also somewhat controversial, I guess, the way it is. So
there is, but
it didn't.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not going to say it on air. Anyway, let's move on. Next question.
I also find it interesting how Horizon 2 was pretty much bundled with a PS5. So I don't know if these numbers are good numbers.
That's a good,
I guess, in quotations.
Yeah.
Because less than Astro Boy.
Yeah.
Sorry, Astrobot.
It's still Astrobot's the best-selling PlayStation 5 game ever. Can't deny that one.
Yeah, man. That Astrobot Adventures. Blitz goes 8 million versus Horizon 35 million for Breath of the Wild. Yeah, but Breath of the Wild's still trash.
How much did the sequel do?
No. You can't cherry pick when numbers matter.
No, I didn't say they matter. I just said the game is trash. That's a different story. That's separate from numbers.
Man, Tony and those deep what are those giant sword cuts?
You know how I do, man. Yeah, I didn't discount the numbers. Yeah, I didn't discount the numbers. I'm just saying.
Yeah, those numbers are good, but it's still trash.
So I reminds you of this commercial, like what was it? Like, oh, this man, invented wings or whatever. Like, like some Leonardo shit. Like, hey, I invented wings, and everybody's happy. And then one guy's like, oh yeah, you know how to swim? And then the guy falls in the river. See, I'm the guy. I'm that guy. You know how to swim, motherfucker? Oh man. Oh, I also heard this one thing is great saying. It's like the optimist invents the plane, the pessimist invents a parachute. I'm the guy who makes the parachute. That motherfucking plane's gonna fall, All right, let's move on. Another one from Mr. J. Shep. It has been reported that the division Heartland has been canceled. First, how has Adam been? Second, has anyone had a chance to speak to Adam about this? Rich, I'm going straight to you, man.
Yes. So Adam is doing well, although his Knicks lost in the playoffs today, so he's probably angry about that. So we give him a shout out. But to answer the question, he was happy to hear this news because he wants them to focus on the Division 3.
Gotcha.
That Heartland game is a free-to-play game that Ubisoft was working on, so it doesn't really count as a mainline game in any way connected to the other two games. So, but yeah, he was happy to hear that because he wants them to focus on Division 3.
Yeah. I mean, it was a mobile game anyway, so I don't know how invested Adam was in that shit.
Yeah.
It's like,
he didn't care about that.
It's a fucking mobile game. Who cares? All right, another one. Last one from Mr. J. Shep. Recent reports claim that another wave of Xbox exclusives is going to PS5. If that is the case, what's the panel's guess of the next 4 games? I said this at the top of the show. I said, what are we gonna see at PlayStation's showcase? More Xbox games.
By the way, did you give a shout out
on the conference?
Did you give a shout out to Mob Hits?
I always give a shout out to Mob Hits, man, but not right now though. Shout out for the bits, bro. Shout out for the bits. Ooh, Mob Hits, stick around, man, because you got some questions coming up, and I don't think I understand one of the questions, so I need you to elaborate on it. So stick around, bro. Stick around, because your question is gonna close out the show, and that's also how I keep you here. Anyway, yeah. So what games do we predict? Excuse me. What Xbox games do we predict will be coming to PlayStation next?
Being that some of them were might have had a multi-platform thing. I think Starfield's going to do it.
Oh shit!
I think Starfield is going to do it.
Do you agree, Just
Yeah, I think Starfield's coming.
Oh man,
I think they really want to. Just because of the disappointing reception of that game. I'm thinking they're trying to catch, just like with Hi-Fi Rush and the other ones that are on the other titles that are on there. I think they're gonna drop a big one, and I think that one is probably the closest to being able to become. But if you notice, all the games that they chose were all on platforms, using engines that can easily be pulled over onto the competition. So, Hi-Fi Rush, Grounded, and Sea of Thieves all are Unreal Engine 4 games. Not a super big commitment to get those things to run on a PlayStation 5. And you notice how quickly they actually got Hi-Fi Rush to work on there. It hadn't even been maybe like half a year they got it to work on there. So I'm guessing those 3 games, that's why they worked, and the other one was using Unity, commonly used engine. What does Bethesda's main engine do, right? Under normal circumstances, Starfield was probably going to be a multi-platform game. They just never said it.
Yeah,
they never got to the point to say whatever it was going to be on. So my guess is that they can probably port that game over relatively easy over to the competition. So yeah, I think those are the next 2. I don't think we're going to see Halo or Gears of War yet, but that I think. The new hotness, I think you'll probably get on there.
I don't think they're going to announce Starfield now in May, but I can see it being announced this fall, like a year after the fact.
Yes,
yeah, that's what I think,
pretty much like how the Hi-Fi Rush was done.
Yeah,
literally a year after it had already run its course on the console on Xbox, they're gonna pull it over. Or potentially pull it over. Indiana
Jones, I think that will come to PlayStation eventually, but I think you're going to keep it on Xbox for a while, probably for a year.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
or at least as long as it's pulling numbers for them.
Yeah, I agree. So I think the more likely candidates will be just like the ones we just saw, more smaller games, small to mid-sized games from Xbox. But I will admit, I'm not too familiar with Xbox's first-party offerings to give a clear answer here. But I do, regardless, I suspect there will be a handful of Xbox games announced in May at the showcase, even if it's 1 or 2, because as we've seen, Xbox games are pretty profitable on PlayStation. Go ahead, Rich.
I'm going to give 2 predictions, although these are probably a ways out. Well, maybe one of them isn't. I think State of Decay is a candidate because obviously they're working on State of Decay 3. They've already done 1 and 2. I don't know if Microsoft may decide to release 1 and 2 on other consoles. That's a possibility if they're still trying to get more interest in State of Decay 3, because I don't think that game's coming out for a while. And this will probably come a lot later. But I'm pretty sure that Hellblade is also going to end up coming to PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
But that's probably not until next. Probably not until next year.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Carlos.
I think Hellblade will probably come. I think Hellblade will probably come before if they do Starfield.
We'll see. Carlos, what's up?
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't say anything.
Right. Anybody else want to take a guess what Xbox games could be coming to PlayStation? All right.
I think you guys mentioned the top candidates.
Yeah. Sunset Overdrive. That's funny. Killer Instinct. Who knows? All right. Moving on. Tune. He's just Tune now. It's Michael Santiago. So on, brother.
What up?
Is subscribing to Game Pass enough to support developers? I had a great conversation with Manny about buying games to support developers. My argument is that if a game is on Game Pass, I don't feel like I have to double dip by buying a game that is already in the service I pay for. So what did you guys talk about? Yeah.
Oh well, because I said controversial statement.
Uh-oh.
If you really want to support Hellblade 2, you should buy it.
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
That's what I said. That's the thing. They're already kind of saying in a weird sort of way that obviously their subscription service can't support those big games because they're already putting them onto other consoles to get more money out of them. They're they're closing down studios, and then they say things like we need more games like Hi-Fi Rush, which are smaller budgeted games. So what I surmise is the thing here is that they want to fill up Game Pass with smaller titles so that they can fill it up with more exclusive titles. But I don't think that their service, at least right now, can sustain big games like Starfield or their Halos or any of their big multi-million-dollar games.
Yeah.
Now the question is like, should you buy a game over, like what I did with Hi-Fi Rush, even though I had it on Game Pass, I actually bought it. You can do whatever you want. But the one thing is that, and I said this before, actual revenue is what even the guys who created Ori said it themselves. Buy our game if you want to support us.
Yeah.
The thing is that the thing about it is like if the higher ups are seeing these games are making money, maybe they'll think twice about closing down a studio if they see that it's already doing well. And it's making its budget. That's my thought on this.
Yeah. Blitz goes, how could not buying it be a better way to support developers? Game Pass subscriptions are spread across all the games. Paying for the game does that to a game. Yeah, you buy directly and they get their money.
If you think about it, so like how much like Game Pass per month is $16, right? Just the raw thing.
Well, the ultimate is 16. Yeah,
the ultimate is 16. Let's just say you're just playing 6, and then spread out through the months, it's like 100 and I don't do numbers. It's 100 and something dollars. You could already hit that. But you could already hit 100 and something dollars by having 3 people buy Hellblade 2. So they're already making more money just by having 3 people buy it than by having a bunch of, having just the install base of Game Pass already.
Yeah.
And then not to mention, once you've already paid that amount of money, that 100 and something dollars, it's already gone, right? It's not continuous revenue. I mean, well, it is continuous revenue. It is and isn't continuous revenue, right? Because it's like you've already handed them the money, so now I guess they have to put it into the store and sort of divvy it out whatever place they want to. But anyway, that's just my thought on it.
Are you advocating paying for it twice or just not?
You're not paying for it twice. You're essentially you're paying for a service and you're buying a game on the service that's discounted. So you're officially buying it once.
Okay, that's still going to cost people more money at the end. So why would you then be basically using the Game Pass service as like a demo or like
That's the way. To be honest, that's the way I used it. I just used it as a demo to play the game, and then bought it. I bought it after. Obviously, not everybody thinks the way I do on that. And I am very much aware of that. But the actual revenue doesn't lie. And if you really, really want to support something, you've got to buy it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like waiting for the graphic novel at the end, right? If you really want to support a comic book, you don't, as much as, even though it is nice to get everything at once, buying the floppies, the single issues of the book could keep the lights on for the team that are doing the book. It's actual buying. at the end, when everybody's already been fired and everything, obviously that doesn't do anything. It just makes the big company money. But, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. And maybe it's because I'm just retarded when it comes to math. But I'm like, okay, wouldn't it? Okay, because, again, I'm trying to parse this out. Because you can't also assume that every person subscribed to Game Pass will buy for Hellblade, for example, right?
They won't.
Yeah, they won't.
They won't buy it.
So it's like, is it better to have a lot of people potentially play the game or a limited amount of people buy the game? You know what I mean?
I think I'm sorry, Manny, go ahead.
No,
Brad, go ahead, jump in there. Yeah, just try to help me understand, because I don't know what the answer. I'm trying to figure this out.
I mean, in Manny's point, like in a perfect world, I would agree. My concern would be that a lot of people aren't going to double dip like that because it ends up
not at all. Yeah,
them more money. And so here's my concern would be that if a lot of people bought the game instead, that would be great for the people who bought the games or who had their games bought. But like the drawback and the Game Pass is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's a safety net, it's an assurance, it's a way that you know that you're not going to go bust, kind of creating this game, and it gives you a little bit more flexibility and kind of freedom that you're not just betting the farm, especially in today's day and age where one big flop, especially for a mid-sized studio, can spell their doom and cost people their jobs, right? On the other hand, if it hits really big, you're not going to see the payout that you would if you would have struck out on your own. Yeah. So that's not really, that's kind of like the nature of like working for somebody or working for yourself. But I think that there is in that same perfect world, there's a place for mid-level studios to flourish without that kind of that threat, and they're able to be more creative and bring more creativity to the industry as a whole. Now, do we live in that perfect world? I don't know.
Well, considering the fact that, a very quote-unquote successful game like Hi-Fi Rush, I was lauded, won awards and all that, the studio still ended up canceled. That safety net isn't exactly there. So we don't live in that perfect world. You just
they got their payout. And like that, what I mean, like, I don't mean like the safety, like, first of all, I don't know what, like, that, there's something that still, that shit does not add up. I would love to hear more of that story as it kind of comes out, but more, they get paid as the game releases for their game being on Game Pass. Like they get guaranteed that money, they get that check. So that was a guarantee. They did receive the guarantee. They got the money for Hi-Fi Rush. Beginning and end. So it's that guarantee was there for them. They guaranteed their studio stayed open. That wasn't, and that's super fucked up. What I'm hoping is that they will be able to. My personal hope is that they're going to be able to turn around with some of the publicity they got from making such a widely praised game, and kind of reform to go on to do better things, and kind of make lemonade out of lemons. Like it's a really shitty situation, and it is so incredibly stupid that it makes me question my own intelligence. Like, am I fucking missing something? How is anybody have their head so far up their ass like that? Like it's incredibly frustrating to me. And I wasn't a fan of the Evil Within, and I wasn't a fan of the things that they had banked up. But still, like they made a great game, and to fucking praise them with one hand and fire them with the other is just so fucked up.
Yeah, it's screwy, and to be honest, and it just makes me worry for a lot of the studios that are under the Microsoft umbrella that do like Ninja Theory, another one of those companies that has been done some really cool stuff. I mean, obviously they had that lousy online game, service game that they had put out, but I think I don't want to see a company like them again. Both of them $50 games, by the way. Hi-Fi Rush was not not a $70 or $60 title either. So, I mean, I don't want to see them get knocked off the thing because they didn't reach some sort of arbitrary number. So, yeah, some mysterious number that the higher ups, even above Xbox, somehow see and say, "Okay, we just cut those guys. We just get rid of them."
Well,
I can understand the reason why they dropped the guys that did whatever the hell that game was, the guys who did Dishonored, but at the same time, it's almost like what they didn't mean a damn thing, right? They were put into a no-win situation by making an online online multiplayer type of game, which they don't do.
That was happening, but that was happening before Xbox. But I think at that point that it wasn't so much they closed them for poor performance as much as over 2/3 of the team had left during the development of Redfall. So all they had left was their seems like kind of their bottom talent tier.
Because they probably didn't like the situation that they were developing the game in, which is right,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. There was mass exodus. So I think that was them just looking at the ghost town that was that studio and just kind of being like, yeah, okay, that one's gonna go. The reason Hi-Fi Rush baffles me is either there's some other factor here at work, scenario A, or scenario B, that there is no win state for a game on if Hi-Fi Rush didn't win on Game Pass, then there is no winning on Game Pass, which seems like a weird and incredibly monumentally stupid, more so than we're usually used to kind of stupid move. If they're just hey, no matter how successful something is on Game Pass, we don't care. That would be a very weird attitude. So I gotta wonder. I feel like some executive made a fucking stupid call. They got in there and went, "Yeah, we're not testing well with Evil Within or blah blah blah. The things that we're doing going forward," and I don't know. Again, I'll be really interested.
It always leads me to believe, and we said this before, that it's not a decision that was made by the main people who are in that division. I think it was a bigger decision beyond them looking at the situation and saying, because how do you have differing information where you literally have Phil Spencer and all the main Xbox people going over to Japan, doing big old speeches, taking pictures with babies and cracking open cakes, and telling them, "Oh, hey, you are important to us. We love the type of titles that you make. These sort of smaller titles that we really would love you to do. Your position in the Xbox ecosystem or the state is all safe." And then not as long, literally firing them. It hadn't even been that many months since that event happened.
I still think the most tone deaf shit was the day after Tango had been dismantled. Xbox had Matt Booty specifically had the audacity to say, "We need more games like Hi-Fi Rush." Really?
Yes, we do.
You had a game like Hi-Fi Rush. It was called Hi-Fi Rush.
Here's the thing. He is right, and I think in the sense that they need smaller titles to fill in the Game Pass. The Game Pass, ecosystem. In other words, to have more titles, unique titles on there, but they don't want to be spending Halo money on these titles, which is, I feel that is where I think the funding of those games would essentially be the best, right? In other words, if the system, obviously they say that they're making, they're making a profit over this, on this thing, right? But I'm saying, if the games are smaller, they'll probably be able to maximize the profit a little, maximize whatever budget they have even better. And I think that's what the situation is. Why he would say something like that. Obviously, it is utterly tone deaf. But
so stupid.
Because again, like, what is the issue? What is the biggest issue with Xbox Game Pass? There is not enough unique game titles to attract people into their ecosystem. When you have a game like Hi-Fi Rush just sitting like alone after a big old announcement, they're the only guys sitting out there who have this title. And then what was it? The next title. How many months later was Redfall compared to Hi-Fi Rush? It was quite a while. Again, a game that shouldn't have sat on its own. There should have been other things around it to try to essentially be more reasons. You don't like if you're going for a service, obviously you go for the big hitters, but also you have to have multiple reasons to go and to invest. And I feel like that's the biggest issue that we have here. So, you put out a bunch more titles, maybe smaller titles that they're not, spending billions of dollars on, and maybe it'll look like, hey, look, we got more shit.
Yeah.
Unique to us.
Kishak, does PlayStation need to do a showcase this year? What would they gain if Xbox is going multi-platform? Well, PlayStation is having a showcase in 2 weeks, right? So that is happening.
It's coming soon.
Yeah, that is happening.
I mean,
not speculating like yeah. Go ahead, Carlos.
They would gain the good graces of their fan base that have been waited and bated breath for a fucking game.
Oh shit!
Whoa! I mean, yeah. I'm
anything about us.
I'm tired of Sony, man.
Well,
whoa, it's done.
Controversy.
It's over, man. Yeah,
Brett is like, welcome.
So
we have cookies.
Good. Let the hate go through you.
And I've been saying this for years, but like at some point, man, we got Spider-Man 2 last year, and then we're still waiting on a game from them. Oh, but what about Final Fantasy 7? What about Celebrate? That's not Sony. That's not Sony. That's other people making games. Where the hell is the number one publisher in the world?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm, you know what? I'll stop. Insert Tony ran about current gen. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Just put a video of the multiple times you ranted.
Somebody make a compilation video of me ranting about this fucking generation for 4 years now. Go ahead, Rich.
So let me just say, yeah, I agree with what Carlos was saying, but I would like to remind Carlos and everybody that Sony is apparently going to have a presence at Summer Games Fest. I kind of feel like they're going to announce something that's coming out this year, but I don't know what the hell that is. Now, if it is a remaster, I can't wait till we are able to talk on the Throwdown, because I'm pretty sure I can't wait to hear. I want to hear a lot of complaints from Carlos. Another remaster, another remake. That's what I say. But they got to have something, as our boy Adam would say. So I'm going to believe there's no way that we're going to go the rest of this year and there's no PlayStation exclusive. I feel like something has to come, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we're gonna get the PS5 Pro announced during this year.
Yeah.
That's the big thing for.
That's the big game. That's the game for their holiday game.
Yeah,
it's gonna
be play on my PS4 games in quality and performance mode.
Whoa!
I
You're
got
not
both
allowed to do that.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I got both of them.
And Kishak mentions it in the chat. He said they've been coasting the entire generation and they're selling well.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like we have arrogant Sony back, but they're reaping the rewards, so there's no reason for them to change. The sad thing about it is it's all off of the legacy of the previous generation. Yep. All those previous guys doing things right before, and then essentially is this generation is just trying to just catch the thunder from the previous one. Again, like I said this in the last show, what game does PlayStation have that is unique to this generation besides Returnal?
And by the way, Manny, you mentioned what's the game? What's the fucking games? Like
what's the games? Yeah.
Like one game is not supposed to fucking feed us like we're like we should be, just hammering for one game for 1 year, like 3 maybe a year, like that, and that's not too much to ask. We've been at this for decades now. These companies have released games multiple times. These companies keep getting bigger. Yeah, inflated costs of making games, but Sony and PlayStation has been a brand since the 90s. Like you're supposed to know how to make games.
Yeah. But the problem is making games now isn't the same as it was in the 90s. Now every game takes 5 years, costs $300 million, and it just takes forever.
Hence why not Andrew House, but the previous Sony exec said, "Hey, the prices of these AAA games need to come down.
The price of development is too damn high."
Yeah, I mean, again, like the norm shouldn't be every game is like costing $1 billion. The norm should be like you fill it, you have your mediums. You have your middles, and then you have one or two big highs. Not every game is they're spending multi-million dollars on there, and we've seen how much these games cost. Like by that leak that happened from is it Insomniac, right? Insomniac?
Yes, Insomniac.
Yeah. From the leak that happened is Insomniac. You see how much they're spending. You saw how much their budget was. You saw how much their marketing was, and you saw how much fucking Marvel takes off of it for their for their licensing fees. So this thing is like it's costing them a lot of money. And to be honest, I'm sure the smart thing to do would be to get out you got your Wolverines and you got your other things, but to be honest, the best thing that they could do is parlay that and then essentially take all the things that they learned on Spider-Man and put out a fucking Infamous game. At least they own that game and they don't need to worry too much about playing a dumbass licensing fee.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. All right, moving on. Last 2 questions. Mob Hits, I hope you're still there. Because these are your questions, man. And this first one, I'm still a little confused about what you're talking about. And again, I didn't edit these, so I'm just going to read them as is, as they are in Discord. Will Hellblade 2 be another Hi-Fi Rush compared in success? So I'm guessing he's going to say, will Hellblade 2 be as successful as Hi-Fi Rush? But even that question is loaded if you think about it, because
yeah.
So Mob Hits, let us know exactly what you mean by that.
I mean, I think I got what he means. It's like what was Hi-Fi Rush? A critically acclaimed game, award-winning. People, the fans and the critics loved it, but yet and all, it wasn't enough.
Yeah, it wasn't enough. So that's what I mean. It's like, what do you mean by success? Because we saw what happened to the game studio afterwards. And that would be a damn shame if that happens to Ninja Theory, which is something I fear now, Which goes by why I'm like, I'm going to buy the damn thing. I'm going to give them money. Here, take my money, guys, because obviously whatever this thing is doesn't seem to, whatever this thing connected to this service stuff doesn't seem to be working. Even if you get a bunch of awards, even if a bunch of people are engaged, even if a bunch of all this stuff seems to happen, somehow you're still going to get fired. Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah. I was, I've said this for a while. Again, it's a good thing this show's recorded. I've said I was going to buy this from the jump regardless, Game Pass or not, But that's how I roll, though. Every quote-unquote Xbox Game Pass game that I've actually been interested in playing, which is very, 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 very few, I've always actually bought myself. I'm like, I'd rather have it, Kiss Shack goes, here's a question in Hellblade 2. Oh, here's a question. Is Hellblade 2 being sent to die with barely any advertising? The game comes out in a few days. Think about
how was it, 21st?
Yeah, fuck, that's 2 days.
Yeah.
No advertising, and if some of these reports are true, I cannot verify this, obviously, for obvious reasons, but apparently, according to some reports, the review embargo lifts an hour before the game launches. Yeah, that's confident, I'm scared for the studio, guys. I really am. And you know me, I love me some motherfucking Ninja Theory, man. Except for that ill-advised multiplayer game, I've loved every single one of their games, even Devil May Cry. This studio is the shit. I'm scared for them.
Yeah.
I'm fucking frightened.
So I will make a quick comment.
Hold on, I'm sorry, Rich.
What's that?
Jay Shep says the game is ranked 108 on Steam.
What's that mean?
It means it's bad.
Pre-order, right?
It's fucking bad.
That means is what the sales are low or something.
It's ranked 108th. It's not ranked in the top 10, not top 20, not top 30, not top 50, not top 70, not even in the top 100. Because nobody knows this fucking game's coming. Because Microsoft didn't advertise this shit.
I mean, that's only in pre-orders. And here's the other thing, Tony. They didn't advertise, but first of all, even when companies are pouring a ton of money into advertisement, where the fuck do we even see it anymore? It's half of us haven't seen commercials in fucking forever. Most games these days, half of their budget is marketing. You want to talk about where to take the money from? Marketing.
Yeah. As to your question, and obviously this applies to big games, but when a big ass game, remember I work in Times Square. When a Call of Duty game is coming, that shit is right there in my face all the time. And even, and then when Red Dead was coming out, fucking bus stops everywhere, buses splattered with this shit on the sides. And then for me, what happened, Brett?
It'll be all over the dashboard. That's all that matters. If you have an Xbox, you're gonna see Hellblade.
Do me a favor, whoever has an Xbox, is it on the dashboard now? I'm assuming so. And Brett, to your point, I remember I was on the Microsoft App Store earlier. They're advertising it at least. But I don't see anything on Twitter. Twitter, when a game is coming out, I always see advertising for it. And on YouTube, you always see advertising for it.
And again, I think that they may have cut out advertising, but I agree. If we have to cut out half the budget of a game, maybe just cut it out of the advertising instead of the game. I
agree with you, man. And I really like your question about advertising because you're right. It's since everybody's so splintered now, how do you properly advertise anything?
I'm opening up the Xbox right now.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, but let me know, man. Go ahead, Rich. Sorry to cut you off before, man. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. So I would like to answer a few questions. First and foremost, it is on the dashboard. There is a advertisement to, basically pre-order it on Game Pass, so on and so forth. They do have a dynamic theme that you can download on your Xbox dashboard. And also, the question earlier, what was said about the embargo, that is correct. And the reason for that is because they don't want story spoilers to get out there because there's a lot of stuff story-wise they don't want people to know about until they play the game.
I was wondering about that because people are going to stream. It's a 6-hour game. They're going to stream it right away, and everything's going to be spoiled. Boom.
Exactly.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So, but to answer the
go ahead, Brian. Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Again, to play devil's advocate, how many times have you heard people say that as an excuse as to why you can't talk about a game before launch? I mean, that's very similar to the same excuse that people had with Cyberpunk. You can't talk about the game after a certain point because it contains story spoilers, and it turns out that they were just hiding the bullshit.
Oh, you're right.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, forgive me if I don't believe what they're saying. Again, in all honesty, that is probably the case, but at the same time, I'm highly skeptical.
Well, that's the beauty of the thing. There's a bunch of people who are going to get it for, quote, effectively free, and so just the barrier to entry is pretty low. Just wait for the reports to come back, and you're good to go. I mean, the only reason I feel like I'm not super worried about it is because, it's sure. You may tank your Game Pass numbers with it if it's bad, but you're not going to fool a bunch of people into pre-ordering.
Yeah, I'm guessing we're answering the question correctly, so that's good. All right, man. Hellblade, we'll see, man. But I'm buying it. I'm buying it on PC, baby. You already know.
I already have.
I'm gonna try it before I buy it.
Yeah.
I already have it pre-ordered on my my non-Xbox Microsoft Windows console.
Yeah, I'm like Hellblade, I'm like Ninja Theory's the shit. I love the first game. It's easy buy for me, All right. The last question of the night, people. Out of all these parry, okay, again, I'm just reading this as is. Out of all these parry games that are out there, which one do you think compares or is right there in difficulty similar to the original Xbox's Ninja Gaiden? So he's talking about games with parrying mechanics. So which one is on par with Ninja Gaiden from back in the day? I'm a bad person to answer this because I suck at parrying in video games.
Wulong.
There you go.
Wulong will turn you into a fucking parry god, like anime ninja parrying. Like it's, oof. It is. At first, you're like, this is fucking impossible. Like who the hell is expected to parry this on point with this frequency? And it turns out after you get good.
Yeah, and then if Chris is here, you could verify this, but a Sekiro is another one people love because of the parrying. The parrying is what kept me away from that fucking game. Like, yeah, I'm good. I can't do this.
Yo.
I saw Chris streaming that shit. I'm like, yeah, I can't hang with that, man. That's too much,
Still making.
But I mean, like Stellar Blade has a pretty decent parry.
Yeah, but it's very forgiving, and it's obviously it's not universal. I was fine with Ghost of Tsushima, but I'm talking about like the real skill based shit. I suck at that stuff. That's why I didn't like Street Fighter 3. I sucked at parrying. But yeah, if you got the skills, go for it. Keeping it real around here, man.
By the way,
what's up?
I would like to mention because I thought I was looking at the Steam list. Just maybe pre-orders just get skewed for some reason. But for example, the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree is in pre-order, and that's number 60, and that game doesn't come out till next month. So it's interesting to see how it'll do. I'm pretty sure it's going to jump up Hellblade in the Steam rankings, but it's 100. I'm looking at it right now, 109th, which is crazy for a game. At least in this room, it's pretty highly anticipated. So, hopefully it picks up.
Yeah. By the way, so I think somebody said Ghost of Tsushima was ranked 5 on Steam pre-orders. So
Ghost of Tsushima.
Well, yeah, it's already available now, so
yeah, everybody knows what that game is.
Yeah, they know. Yeah. And Brett, as we talked about, Hellblade was never going to be a system seller to begin with.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a great man. I feel like Hellblade, along with
Hi-Fi Rush.
Hi-Fi Rush, yeah, thank you. Are the kind of AA titles that Xbox needs. If they could have Helldivers should have been an Xbox game. That would have been a big win for them, and it feels more at home on an Xbox console than a PC console, being more multiplayer focused and whatnot. But if they could get games of that caliber and size stacked on the Xbox, that would be where their identity would need to come from. So
yeah,
I think Senua's, or I think Hellblade 2 is a good Game Pass title / a good Xbox title.
Good enough for Game Pass.
Also,
you don't have to be an asshole.
Ghost of Tsushima's number 1.
Yeah, or even in sales. Yeah.
Yeah, but to be fair, it literally came out like 3 days ago.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be Xbox God of War. Oh man, that's crazy. I remember saying that too. I was like, it has the potential. Who knows? Probably not, but still. All right, man. We're done here. Another good show. Rich, man, what's going on with the Coalition?
Yeah, so pretty interesting week planned for the Coalition. We are going to have a review for Hellblades 2.
Oh, shoot.
That will be going up this week. I'm not the one reviewing it, by the way, but I do want to make this announcement. I have been playing Hellblade too, so I will talk about it on the Throwdown.
Nice.
This upcoming Thursday.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh man, that's gonna be good. You know.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that. As for other content, there's some other things in the works we'll talk about a little bit later, but yeah. Just stay tuned. That's all I could say.
Yeah. Also, just, you know, because I know you're listening, I want to give a shout out to Riku-san 1, man. We had a lot of good conversations this weekend about writing and all
What
that.
up, Riku?
And also, I'm pretty sure you're listening to Mr. Gary Swaby, the homie. I talk to Gary and Riku like every day, man, you know, about the craft and among other things. So shout out to those guys. And yes, Riku, Manny and I eventually got the name right, Yasuke. We were apparently saying it wrong a little bit, but we corrected ourselves.
Saying Yasuke or something
No, we
like
were
that?
saying Yosuke, apparently. But we corrected ourselves. Like, we kind of figured it out, you know. But yeah, because, you know, Riku's into that, you know, Sengoku era of Japanese history. So he was like, you motherfuckers is getting it wrong. Riku's son, man. The only one.
We don't have,
you
we
know?
don't just so happen to have a Japanese correspondent on our show anymore.
Yeah, right. Riku, get on here, man. Teach these motherfucking gaijin, man. You know?
Yeah.
Oh man, shout out to those guys. Got to get Riku back, the Platinum King. He's kind of retired from that, man. You know, Riku's kind of like yeah. Go ahead.
He's gone through Riku is about the same age as I was when I sort of slowed down video gaming and when I got a job after college. So it tracks.
Well, no, Riku's not that young. He's like 35, man.
Man, he'll always be 25, man.
Yeah, because we met him. He was like 23 or something, so he was out of college. You know?
Yeah.
Didn't Riku-san get a girlfriend and quit gaming? Damn! He didn't quit gaming, but yeah, he's more preoccupied with writing. You know, that's his thing now, which I relate to. That's my main hobby nowadays too, because gaming is whack, and I want to leave a legacy, so I'm writing some books. You know. And now I feel confident saying that because there's so many motherfuckers out there. You're like, oh, I'm going to write a book. I'm like, wait, I have like 2 full manuscripts and 3 novellas. I could at least say it's coming. You know, it's going to happen. So that's been fun. So yeah, shout out to Riku and Gary, and shout out to the fans. As always, you guys keep the show going. By the way, people, episode 500. That's coming September, baby. You know, and maybe not in episode 500 proper, but I think if the PS5 Pro drops this year, we're doing a motherfucking giveaway. You already know. And Jay Shep, we're going to give away all those wonderful games you sent, Manny. You know, so that's going to be fun.
Yep. I also have a copy of Call of Duty code too.
Excuse me?
Yeah. So
yeah. And episode 500. You know we're gonna get Torrance on, Riku-san, hip hop gamer. We're gonna get everybody on, man. It's gonna be crazy. You know, maybe we get Adam back on the bitch just for one episode. You know, we'll see if we can squeeze everybody in and get all 10 tiles filled up. You know, that might be more than 10 tiles, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, man, we're done here. So make sure you follow Throwdown at Twitch and Twitter. We're back on YouTube, so make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell. You're notified when our videos go live. And obviously, shout out to the Discord crew. Join us on Discord, where the conversations and the rumors are always popping. Throwdown is on every podcast app you can imagine. Throwdown Show, that's 2 words, Throwdown Show. And you can also check out past episodes on throwdownshow.com. Links to everything down below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Carlos Romero.
Apparently, Richard Bailey Jr. is a cursed man. If he roots for your team, they will lose.
Oh, shit. Richard Bailey Jr.
I hope everybody has a better week than the Knicks and the Nuggets.
Brett Murdoch.
Peace out, everybody.
And Brian Manjoma.
So it turns out you can just patch in an offline mode. You just need enough motivation.
Oh, shit. You know, I got that reference. All right, people, we'll see you on Thursday, man. Later.
Peace.
Later.